Thank you so much for joining us today at the BIBF's third series of real estate talks for this year. Today, we're going to have a very dear topic to my heart, as it's real estate and it touches on technology as well at the same time. And it's going to be presented by a very dear colleague and a friend as well of mine, Mr. Abdulla Al Kooheji. Just prior to starting, as we always do, just a bit of a brief about the BIBF. For those who do not know the BIBF, we've been in the market for the past 40 years, and we actually are affiliated and governed by the Central Bank of Bahrain. So we come under the Central Bank of Bahrain. We currently train in around 64 countries across the world. Latest, like I previously said as well, prior to the COVID situation, we've done Japan and Russia in certain disciplines. We have trained over 360,000 students so far, and we have a global trust from the World Bank, the Amazon Web Services, Islamic Development Bank, among many other organizations. At the BIBF, we have many centers. Today, I'm representing the Digital Transformation and the Real Estate Center, basically, the Project Management and Real Estate Center. But we have the Islamic Finance Center, we have the Banking and Finance, Leadership and Management, Insurance, as well as the Academic Studies. The academic, basically, it's a separate arm of the BIBF, where we have universities such as London School of Economics, Bangor University, DePaul, and Strathclyde on board with us. The Digital Transformation and Project Management Center focuses on main areas, basically. We have a number of academies under that, where we offer a lot of programs tailored to different age groups, different expertise levels. So we have the Digital Transformation Center Academy, where we deliver training that talks about the mindset, the culture, along with the technology that is going to be used. And alongside that, as you see on the screen, there are a number of academies from cybersecurity, data science, and many other areas that we focus on. But however, the focus for today is the Real Estate and PropTech Academy that we currently have, where this talks is coming from. We focus on a lot of programs when it comes to the real estate, and we work a lot with the Real Estate Regulatory Authority in implementing some of their plans and initiatives that they want to put to the market. And some of the programs that we have are mainly categorized in four areas: valuation, brokerage and sales, property management, and owners association. However, by next month as well, inshallah, we're going to launch a number of programs related to PropTech. So I don't take long from in the introduction. Just as a brief, today's session, like we started, is about PropTech, and it's going to be delivered by the Director of Policies and Strategic Planning, Directorate, the Secretary of the Board of Directors of the Real Estate Regulatory Authority, Mr. Abdulla Al Kooheji. Thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoyed this session today. I'm going to be moderating this session, so towards the end, you can, or in between, you can write your questions in the Q&A or the chat section, and I'll actually be asking those questions towards the end to Mr. Abdulla. Thank you so much, and Mr. Abdulla, the floor is yours.
Thank you, مشكور يا أخوي أحمد. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. أحمد بالعربي ولا بالإنجليزي السيشن?
I think it was an advertising.
In English. Oh, fine, inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this session done in conjunction with our colleagues in BIBF, whom we really respect for all the effort that they have put with us here in RERA over the past 3 years when it comes to capacity building, when it comes to bringing up the level of professionalism in the real estate market. Thank you, BIBF, for this, and thanks for everyone who is attending this session. As Ahmed said, it's a very يعني dear topic to our hearts, and we here in RERA take PropTech and technology in the real estate sector to very seriously, and we really want to push hard to inshallah see Bahrain as one of the leaders when it comes to PropTech in the area, if not the world itself. We are the leaders in fintech in the area, and we also want to be the leaders of PropTech. Inshallah, all of us together, from the government sector and also the private sector, should work together, inshallah, to reach this dream, inshallah, of making Bahrain one of the leaders of PropTech and innovation overall in the real estate sector. So first of all, what's PropTech? PropTech is an acronym that is used to describe any technology for the real estate space. An example would be manufacturing of 3D printing of off-site manufacturing, hardware, for example, and sensors. PropTech is a very, very, very wide acronym. Any type of technology that can help ensure the efficiency of conducting business in the real estate sector is considered to be part of PropTech. The technology has changed business tremendously over the past 25 to 30 years. We've seen very solid industries go down, and we've seen solid institutions go down because of the disruptive effect of technology, because those guys were lacking the vision and lacking the mobility to move with technology. Technology will move fast. We have to be mobile and agile and move with technology. So a great example to the introduction of technology and the way it changes business in the world. Today, for example, the biggest taxi company in the world does not own a single taxi. Uber does not own a single taxi, and they are the biggest taxi company on earth. Booking.com does not own a single hotel, but they're the biggest hotelier in the world today. Expedia and all those applications that we use to travel don't even own an airline, but they are the biggest travel agents in the world. We've seen more and more of those new technologies come into the market and shape new futures for the industries, that respective industries that they have. And real estate is not immune to this. Property technology, PropTech, is coming thick and fast, and we have to be ready for it. It's still not as widely available, but it is coming thick and fast. This new generation, mashallah, tabarak ar-Rahman, are tech geniuses, and anything that can make life easy, they're very innovative and they are going to embrace. So we have to be ready for this, both as the government sector and also, most importantly, also the private sector, which is the machine for innovation. Again, why is PropTech important in relation to current times? COVID-19. If this wasn't COVID time, most probably we'll be sitting now in one of the classrooms or one of the auditoriums in BIBF, and I'd be talking to you face to face. COVID came, and we all had to adapt to it through technology. So, even for example, for us here in RERA, when we issued resolution 1 of 2020 regarding the homeowners association, we had to include technology in meetings. For example, general assembly meetings. How are you going to do a general assembly when there's a social distancing and restrictions? So we had to introduce technology there, the allowance of use of technology. Same thing in meetings. The COVID-19 will change the way we conduct business forever. I think over the past year, we have seen that non-essential travel is simply non-essential. Today we can conduct meetings and business rather than people flying from Bahrain to the rest of the world, or people from the rest of the world to Bahrain to do introductory meetings, to do those simple meetings could be done online. Yes, face-to-face interaction is very important, but COVID taught us that no, there are different ways to do it, and technology is the way to go forward. Same thing when it comes to the real estate sector. What is the relation of PropTech to the Kingdom of Bahrain, and what importance does it occupy? PropTech companies such as the served as an invaluable survival tool for property managers during the lockdown and quarantine. Further, they are key examples of how the real estate can adapt and even thrive during times of crisis through digitization. We've seen that our licensees, who are the property managers, one of them is the property managers and homeowner association managers, their performance during COVID, the people who embrace technology, the people who were ready for it, with the proper technology and proper systems, were able to manage the COVID crisis much better than the ones that were relying on the face-to-face. We were in alhamdulillah, thanks God, Bahrain, we never went through full lockdown, alhamdulillah, not even a partial lockdown, thanks God to that. But we had social distancing. We couldn't do meetings. We couldn't do face-to-face interactions, especially in the beginning of the crisis. So there were a couple of those property managers who are licensed by RERA, who are ready for it from the beginning and embrace technology. And the running of those properties didn't have any interruption. It will take time for people to get used to it, rather than calling someone to come to do all of this electronically, but it happens. And I always say, today in Bahrain, and the Bahrainis are open to technology. We see, I'm sure all of us see in our families, some older member in our families using talabat and using benefit pay. So some people say, the older generation, no, even the older generation will adapt. We are, this is the way we're designed. We're designed to adapt with new changes, but technology changes so fast, so quick. So we have to be quick and fast to it. So introduction those ideas to the tech of PropTech to property management, we've seen firsthand during the COVID crisis has helped a lot. There were also, when it comes to homeowner association managers, and using also the virtual meetings, and some owner association managers couldn't conduct board meetings for owners associations because they were not embracing the technology. Others who embraced the technology did it very easily, and the conducting of business went very smooth because they went through the digitization route and made life easy for them, for the board members of that homeowner association, for the General Assembly, and for the people who are living in that community. What are the long-term effects of PropTech? PropTech is a game changer, the same way that FinTech is a game changer in the financial sector. And it is going to make everybody's life easy if we embrace it properly and we have the proper systems for it. So, for example, making rent easier. It will make the collecting of rent for that property manager and for the owner much easier. Could be done through digitization and through e-banking today. Anything like that will make everybody's life easier. Cleanliness when it comes to corporate structures, governance structures, especially for managing common areas in homeowners association. It is much easier to do it digitized, to get certain approvals, than trying to run with pen and paper to get people to sign for you approvals and sign for you quotations during the COVID time. people did it because of COVID, but I'm sure because they saw how easy it makes life and everybody's life, and it saves time and technology, then people will embrace it even after COVID. Let me give you just one more small note here. Today we're meeting on Zoom. All of us are sitting in the convenience of our offices or our homes. If anything happens in office, you can deal with it directly. Imagine we had all to go to BIBF for that meeting, and something urgent happens in the office. So this session, you will have to leave the session. It will be harder for you to deal with that crisis or problem in office. Using the technology today made it convenient for all of us, and also made it easier for all of us to meet together, and also make it easier for us to deal with other aspects. In the past, if we had to go to do this session in BIBF, I would have to leave my office maybe half an hour before the session. So the session is 11. I'd have to leave office at around 10:30 maybe. We reach there, maybe we'll start the meeting 10 minutes late, something like that. And then I will leave, let's say at 12:10 or 12:15, and then 35 minutes back to office. So I've actually saved myself and saved my institution, and you also saved yourself and saved your institution around an hour or so of time, which we are going to utilize better rather than commuting in cars. So this is one way of embracing technology. Now we want to embrace that in the real estate sector. Same way, so going contactless. Today under COVID, we all want to go contactless. We all want to go without, with making sure that we practice social distancing. Again, PropTech will help us in this, and will also help us in building a much easier community within that building or homeowner association to conduct business, to make sure that everything runs smoothly in that homeowner association or that business. The evolution of the digital solution has made real estate investment affordable and accessible, say experts. Real estate investment platforms encourage investors. Now, another aspect of PropTech is basically making the world aware of your property, if it's for sale or for rent. In the past, we used to rely on certain people to market such a product, a real estate asset. Today, by embracing technology, we can go to even a bigger audience than we used to go before. So imagine I have a property to sell, and I contact, let's say, the best broker in that part of the world where I live in. How many people will be on his contact list? How many potential clients can he expose my property that I want to sell to? No matter how big he is, no matter how good he is, the numbers are limited, because we all have limitations as human beings and as institutions. But if you use PropTech technology and PropTech solutions, your audience could be the world, not only Bahrain. So always think of it bigger. PropTech makes it efficient and makes it bigger, make you go global when it comes to real estate. Now, crowdfunding in the real estate sector. Crowdfunding is part of fintech, but we will talk about the crowdfunding in the real estate sector. Crowdfunding could be done for many products, many industries, and its practice around the world. Today, in this session, we will concentrate on crowdfunding in the real estate sector. First of all, what is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is a mode of financing that is done through platforms that should be licensed by the regulator, which is the central bank of a certain jurisdiction. And thankfully, our colleagues in the Central Bank of Bahrain already have the who have the jurisdiction for crowdfunding and licensing those platforms. They have all the rules and regulations and licensing procedures ready, and this has been done about 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It's there for the private sector to be innovative and think of crowdfunding in the real estate sector. The real estate sector traditionally, let's say I'm a developer using the traditional mode of financing. There are limited modes of financing for me. The first mode is using my own equity to build a certain project or asset, and then maybe to sell units within those assets and try to make my profit. The other model is basically using funds from banks, financial institutions. And financial institutions, when it comes to lending in the real estate sector, are conservative, especially after the subprime disaster that happened in the United States in 2008, which has a direct relation to real estate. And also with the new regulations that the banks have to adhere with, be it, sorry, one second. So sorry again. Traditionally, in the past couple of maybe decade or so, banks are more not shy, but they have restrictions when it comes to financing real estate, and when it comes to because of the Basel regulations, because of the internal regulations that central banks put on them, they do have a limitation to how much they can finance in the real estate sector. So that's the other mode of financing. The third mode of financing is going for an off-plan, like we license here in Bahrain. So they will come to the real estate regulator, ask for an off-plan sale license, and depend on the consumers to finance their projects. But here in RERA, we do put regulations to make sure that actually the developer himself also puts a good portion of the equity into the project. But those are the three main modes of financing that developers go through. And those three modes of financing, banks, their own equity, and the consumer, are not available for everyone. So imagine Abdullah is a young man, just graduated from university and joined an institution to work somewhere. He got a job. And I'm really early in my career, so my salary is not sufficient enough for me to enter real estate investment. Real estate traditionally is expensive everywhere around the world. Real estate is usually, real estate investors are big investors, usually tycoons, because real estate is expensive. And this is because traditionally this is the way it was. It was never cheap. That's why most of us on earth, we're 7 billion, most of us, our only real estate transaction is going to be buying your own house or apartment to live in. That's it. Only maybe 3% of the population of earth, the 7 billion, will go to a number 2, which is a real estate investment. So we are relying on 3% of the population around the world for real estate investment. What about the 97%? Crowdfunding through the fintech solutions and the fintech platforms that are licensed by the financial regulators, the central banks, and here in Bahrain done by our colleague Central Bank of Bahrain, is a solution to allow somebody like Abdullah, a fresh graduate who just started his career, maybe 1 year of working, to enter and reap the rewards of real estate investment. So let's assume developer XYZ comes to RERA or any regulator around the world and gets a license for an off-plan sale project. What would be the cheapest unit? 40,000 BD, 50,000 BD. For a young guy like Abdullah, who just graduated, who started his career 1 year ago, Abdullah cannot afford a 40,000 BD investment. But Abdullah can afford 5,000 BD maybe. Could be friendly to his budget. And how many people like Abdullah, young people, just started working, who want to invest in real estate? There are many. Crowdfunding is basically getting all of those and crowdfunding them towards a certain asset. So each of them will own a certain percentage. So if the asset is 50,000 BD, for example, and Abdullah can afford 5,000, through that platform, which is regulated by a central bank, pumped into a project which should be also licensed and regulated by the real estate regulator, Abdullah can have an option to get an ownership in a certain unit with maybe Ahmed and Ibrahim and Khalid and Maryam and Fatima and Zainab and Rasha together into one unit. What have we achieved here? First of all, we have made real estate investment, which is a good investment, accessible for all of us, for bigger audience. And we have made also the reliance on the traditional modes of financing less, so developers can become more innovative and go to a more innovative projects. And younger generations, our millennials, they are changing the habits everywhere around the world. And this is the modes of financing that they want. This is what they want. They want to invest small and slow. That's why we see them, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, those young investors, how through crowdfunding, how were they able to shock the big markets in the United States, the stock markets. Now, we don't want to create that ripple. We don't want to create that shock. But what we want is to help the young generation, not only the young, anybody who cannot afford an investment, which is a very high investment, and also help the developers. In the past, we didn't have the mode. But today, because of PropTech, because of FinTech, because of technology, we can do it. Very seamless, very efficient, using applications that are, and platforms that are user-friendly. You have to go through checks and balances, and you have to do KYCs. This is something that, and anti-money laundering checks. But this is all done through a platform, which makes the intervention of humans much less in it, which makes it cheaper than doing it through employing hundreds of people. That's what we want to achieve when it comes to crowdfunding in RERA. And this is something that we really are keen to see because it's going to help the real estate sector in Bahrain. It's going to increase the number of investors in the real estate sector of Bahrain. It is going to help our developers in raising finance, and everybody's going to reap the reward. Even the young guy who just graduated, who most probably, if we did not have that technological breakthrough, would have never even thought of investing in the real estate sector. He's going to have a chance to invest in the real estate sector, and he's going to have a chance to reap the rewards. Now, crowdfunding, there are different modes. There are people who crowdfund to buy a portion of a unit, which is an equity contribution. There are crowdfunding platforms which do debt. So Abdullah is not interested in buying a portion of a unit and receiving a portion of a unit 3 or 4 years later to sell and for the appreciation. Maybe Abdullah is interested in putting his money and getting a yield to help his income generating portfolio. It could be done. PropTech is so flexible and so innovative. It is going to help all of us. And we in RERA are firm believers of PropTech and we are currently working also very closely with our colleagues in EDB to encourage more and more PropTech in Bahrain and to attract beautiful ideas from around the world, but also we want them to be homegrown, also from Bahrain, because I'm sure Bahrainis are very innovative and they have shown us time and time again that they are one of the most innovative people on this earth. So we want this to happen. We want it so much that His Excellency, the Chief Executive, made sure that it is part of the National Real Estate Plan, which has been approved by the Board of Directors and then approved also by His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Prime Minister, and the Cabinet. And inshallah, it's going to be published in the Public Gazette. In RERA, the Board of RERA and the Chief Executive of RERA have full confidence in PropTech, and we want to push PropTech so much that we have put it as one of the pillars in the National Real Estate Plan, which we want to implement, inshallah, over the next couple of years in Bahrain. Because using PropTech is going to change the game when it comes to real estate in Bahrain. It's going to allow the smaller investor to reap the rewards. It's going to allow the developers to be able to develop further and more innovative projects, all in a controlled environment, which is regulated by the Central Bank of Bahrain when it comes to transfers of funds, and regulated by RERA when it comes to the implementation of the projects. So it should be a recipe for a very secure and very lucrative business, inshallah. So another aspect of PropTech that you will hear so much people talking about is blockchain. A blockchain is something that is coming all around the world, and we in Bahrain are also looking at blockchain. It's just that blockchain is a new way of conducting business, and it is part of PropTech. If you embrace PropTech, you will embrace blockchain. You have to do it, and this is something that's going. So I encourage everybody to read more about blockchain, to read more about PropTech, and also to read more about crowdfunding in the real estate sector. And let's work together and be more innovative. And again, here in RERA, we will be more than happy to sit with you, listen to your ideas, and give you our, let's say our, I don't want to say maybe guidance on how is it better to achieve such ideas. We are open to innovation. We encourage innovation. We want more innovation in the real estate sector using technology. And I know that most of you, or all of you, have a passion for creating new business environments that are more digital friendly, which are easier and cleaner to manage. So PropTech is something new. We're all learning together. And I will open the session for Ahmed for questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah. Very informative session. A question that we have, are RERA a real estate regulatory authority working with SLRB on the implementation of blockchain and their processes? If so, how soon until we see it being used?
I cannot answer on behalf of our colleagues in SLRB. SLRB and RERA are two separate entities. But SLRB has started digitizing all of its procedures and all of its الخدمات المقدمة to the customers. Today, SLRB registration is electronic. No longer it's being digitized. So being digitized at the end of the day is going to lead you to one way and one way only. So yes, SLRB also, the same as RERA, is embracing new technologies and working, inshallah. We in Bahrain don't want to be left This is a train that's moving. We have to move with it. And inshallah, we're all moving in the right direction because if we don't embrace technology, nobody wants to invest in your jurisdiction. So it is something that is definitely a passion for His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed, the Chief Executive of RERA, which is also he's also the General Director of Land Registration. So yes, RERA and SLRB are embracing technologies and embracing PropTech, and inshallah, we want to be leaders in our field.
Thank you. So Abdullah, one of the audience as well is saying, I feel like we're still doing it in a traditional way. We would love to have an ecosystem that sort of supports innovation in PropTech, backed up by the government support and data transparency, developers financing, and these areas. So we understand that you've touched base on certain initiatives with the real estate plan that is being put in place alongside with your collaboration with the EDB. But what are the additional steps that you're doing so that we can, as developers or as individuals that want to get into PropTech, to manage the challenges and the of basically getting into that area?
This is a valid question. We are working very closely with our colleagues in EDB and Bahrain FinTech Bay to create an environment that will encourage innovation and that will encourage young entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs يعني بشكل عام, not only young and older entrepreneurs to work in an environment that is regulated and will help them to innovate and go to the proper direction. There are many ideas and we are currently working on them with our colleagues in EDB. الفكرة هي same as we replicated in the past. So for example, we are working with them on acceleration programs. So someone with innovation comes to RERA, and then we're working, inshallah, on trying to establish an acceleration program. We're also working on creating what they call a sandbox environment, where it is, let's say, not a full license, but a trial, a pre-license, where there will be limitations, but for them to understand the market, how the dynamics of the market, real hand, I mean, actual dynamics rather than theories. So we are working on all of that, and we have to make sure that it is من ناحية تشريعية, from a legislative perspective, it's proper. So the moment we finish that, we will definitely, and inshallah, you are going to hear something very soon about it. We've been working on this for the past couple of months, but we have to make sure that we cross every T and dot every I to make sure that everything is proper when it comes to that trial environment.
Perfect. Just a note from Ahmed Naeemi saying a quick win here is to support ready pilots established by innovators who already got presence in Bahrain. So in terms of the PropTechs that are available and basically already in Bahrain.
Yes. طبعا هو احنا again as a regulator RERA cannot يعني endorse a product. احنا what we put regulations that those are the minimum requirements that we need in a certain product to be applicable or so that we can accept that our licensees use it. But endorsing a product will be يعني we cannot endorse. I cannot endorse Ahmed Naeemi. ليش ما? Why don't you endorse someone else? يعني هذا هو السؤال اللي بيكون. We are working on something like that inshallah, and there are a couple of ready-made Bahraini which really makes us happy, and we've seen them and we've met with them, and very innovative, mashallah, tabarak ar-Rahman, and I'm sure inshallah we'll get more and more of this. Correct.
In terms of, there's one comment as well about the implications to brokers in the real estate with the use of PropTech. What will happen to those who are currently brokers in the market, the brokerage sector?
they will have to embrace the technology. The brokers themselves will embrace the technology. And we've seen, for example, in the past, airline companies did not want to use the digital way of ticketing. But when those applications started coming to the market, they moved fast and they embraced the technology. Same thing in the banking sector. We've seen in the past, traditional banks, they don't want to do e-banking. They don't want to do those things. But now with the new technology, and especially the innovation that Benefit did, all the banks now are running left, right, and center and trying to embrace technology and trying to pull back the customer back to them in their domain by embracing technology. So our brokers, and I'm sure our brokers, mashallah, tabarak rahman, they have the capability and they do have, inshallah, experience, and they will gain the know-how and they will know how to embrace this technology. The brokerage will never go. Brokerage will never die. They're always لازم يكون best. The way we do brokerage will change, and they have to embrace those technologies. Now, whether we like it or not, this is the way the world is going. I encourage our brokers to read more about PropTech, to be the leaders and innovators in PropTech. And I'm sure, mashallah, tabarak rahman alayhim, they will be, inshallah, part of that.
Inshallah. So definitely not fight the wave, but embrace the wave.
We have to. This is a wave. It's coming. Correct. We cannot change it. The world is moving this way. فإحنا we either adapt to it. يا أخي يقول لك النخلة ما شاء الله قوية والقشة ضعيفة، ولكن في العاصفة لما تجي عاصفة النخلة تنكسر والقشة ما تنكسر، لأن القشة تمشي مع العاصفة بينما النخلة تحاول تقاومها فبتنكسر. This is a wave. It's coming, whether we like it or not. فإحنا we want in Bahrain to be early so that our licensees get exposed to it early. بعدين هم بالinnovation مالهم. يعني innovation always comes from the private sector. يعني احنا we try to predict the new trends, but the private sector is who يعني عنده innovation and works to work with the trend. And I'm sure that we have enough innovation in Bahrain, and all our brokers, inshallah, tabarak rahman, they will all embrace the new technology. It's coming. We cannot change it.
Inshallah. Another question, can you elaborate more on how do you see the blockchain system helping the growth and stability of active real estate developers and service agencies in Bahrain? And exactly what role will Real Estate Regulatory Authority play in facilitating and controlling this system?
Okay. Blockchain is more an SLRB issue. طبعا احنا in RERA we work and help our colleagues in SLRB. But blockchain itself is more of the Survey and Land Registration Bureau. And blockchain يتكلم عن ملكيات. It talks about ownership. It's more towards SLRB. And I can assure you that our colleagues in SLRB, and His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed, who's our Chief Executive, and at the same time, the General Director of Land Registration, is working on that, inshallah. And he is embracing the technology, and he's a believer and a pusher for technology to be implemented in our sector.
Beautiful. This is a valid point, actually. Now with the rise of PropTechs and technology that's coming up, how would the Real Estate Regulatory Authority basically stop or prevent sort of fake brokers using internet?
Ahmed, can you repeat?
Sure.
Sorry.
No issues.
One of the problems of technology.
No problem. In terms of PropTech and with the rise of PropTech basically coming on board and all that, how would the Real Estate Regulatory Authority be able to regulate sort of those fake accounts or fake technologies that are being used, fake brokers that are on the market in terms of ruining basically the market elements?
Yes, and I will tell our colleagues this. any one of them who issue a social media account which is practicing brokerage and he does not read in the profile of that account the RERA brokerage license, to report them directly to RERA through report violation at rera.gov.bh. And our legal team is going to take the legal action against those accounts. We have over the past 2 years stopped many of those accounts. Most of them came to RERA and licensed themselves. So what we want is to bring them into the system, make them license themselves to work within the system. Any one of you who knows of those accounts, please let them report them to RERA. Yes, and we are also working now on a regulation for the websites and social media also. So we will work there. But again, Ashaddid, anyone who knows of such accounts and gets in contact with them, please report them to report violation at rera.gov.bh, and inshallah RERA is going to take the proper action against them if they do not come to RERA and license themselves.
Sure. A question, why would property investors care about PropTech?
Property investors?
Yeah.
Why would I care? I would love to.
Property investors care about about PropTech, basically, if they are just a property.
Why? Because okay, investor from let's take two types, two sides of the equation.
Correct.
There is the developer and there is the investor, right? As a developer, PropTech and crowdfunding is going to increase the pool of funding for them. It's going to make my developments reach their targets much faster and easier. And also from a developer point of view, who wants to create a name for myself in the market, I will embrace PropTech because PropTech is going to make the people who live in those developments reap the rewards of a better community and easier running. And then people will only in the future want to live in communities that have such system. So that's from the investor, the developer point of view. From an investor point of view, I'm a young investor that I don't have 100,000 dinars extra to invest in real estate. And I know that real estate is lucrative and I want to reap the rewards. And PropTech and FinTech and crowdfunding in the real estate sector will help a young guy like Abdullah. Okay, I'm not young, that young, but a younger guy, if Abdullah was younger, to invest in real estate and to reap the rewards. And we want to encourage people to invest in real estate. We take pride in Bahrain that most of the real estate, Bahrain, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, most of our investors are from Bahrain. Local investment. We're trying, alhamdulillah, diamond, we have foreign investment coming to Bahrain, but a good chunk of it is Bahrainis. Now, but this good chunk will become bigger. And a bigger portion of the population reap the rewards. It could be, for example, for 5,000 dinars. Let's say this works in the future, inshallah. And an environment is built by the Central Bank of Bahrain when it comes to FinTech and by RERA when it comes to regulating here. And we go through crowdfunding. Ahmed and Abdullah can invest 5,000 dinars into such a project and get an equity in a certain asset. In 5 years' time, Ahmed and Abdullah can rent this asset and I can increase my income. Who wouldn't want that? In today's situation where we don't have crowdfunding, Abdullah or Ahmed will be ever able to invest in real estate. So me as a young investor, I want this. And me as a developer, of course, I'm getting more money into my projects. I can finish this project and go to the next project rather than dwell on a project for 10 years.
Perfect. I have just a few more questions, just 3 more questions, and we're going to conclude. How is Real Estate Regulatory Authority supporting local real estate companies in regards to doing business versus encouraging international real estate companies to capture the market? So basically, what are the incentives? It may be a question that is out of the topic that we have today.
It's not our topic.
Yeah, it's not relevant to this. So yes. I'm going to skip that one. Yeah, this is more or less sort of relevant. When will Real Estate Regulatory Authority adopt application submission like سجلات system?
طبعا احنا in RERA today we take everything through electronically because of COVID. طبعا RERA is a new institution and we are working with our colleagues in IGA to create a full-fledged licensing system, online system. So we have started today, طبعا I think a couple of months ago with our brokers and our sales agents. It's now through the same system as يعني مثل ما هو system سجلات. So we are doing it inshallah next for different licensees. Let's not forget that mashallah تبارك الرحمن the institutions that we are being compared to عمرها 70-80 سنة بينما ريرا عمرها 3 years only. And IGA is working with us day and night to create the system. فإنشاء we يعني نتمنى إنه we do it ASAP بس في limitations على يعني الشغل اللي نسويه لكن بإذن الله تعالى what we want is to go full-fledged electronically. Today we receive everything electronically, but in the future we wanted everything to be electronically and systemized وخلاص and let the system run it itself. This way it's better for us also. Then it frees up my workforce. One of our issues in RERA is the amount of work, mashallah, we do, and the workforce is not as big as people think. Whenever someone comes to RERA, sits with us and see that we are a very small number of, mashallah, how can you do this? We put more effort. But now, digitizing it through systems will free up more human resources for us. So this is something we want not only the private sector wants, we also want it. So we are working as hard as possible, as fast as possible with our colleagues in IGA, inshallah, to achieve this.
والله وانا اشهد على اللي قلته اخوي عبد الله يعني ما شاء الله شغلكم واضح ويبين والامount of work that you're putting to the market is incredible ما شاء الله based on the number of workforce. I have just one more questions to add. If a developer wants to encourage crowdfunding for a particular RERA registered development, does he have to follow any specific regulations of RERA if any have been set?
Okay. طبعا احنا crowdfunding itself is part of fintech, and fintech and PropTech are so interrelated. But crowdfunding احنا نتكلم عن crowdfunding in the real estate sector. crowdfunding could be for anything. حتى لو نبي نفتح a supermarket we can do crowdfunding حاجة. But crowdfunding falls under the jurisdiction of our colleagues in the Central Bank of Bahrain, and they do have the regulations for crowdfunding. They do have it. So if a platform wants to practice crowdfunding, will be the Central Bank of Bahrain, our colleagues will be more than happy to entertain them and work with them to achieve that license. When it comes to crowdfunding in the real estate sector, we encourage our real estate license projects. We don't encourage people to invest in non-licensed projects because nobody is monitoring a non-licensed project. And we've seen over the past year an example where if a project is licensed by RERA, RERA can interfere and can go in quickly whenever it sees a slight problem and ensure the security of your investments because it's like a licensed project. A non-licensed project is working somewhere outside the system. We don't have the records for it. We don't have the financials. While a licensed project that we license here in RERA, we have the full details from the beginning of the opening of an escrow account till the release of the final fund, which is the 5% retention that we keep in the escrow account for 1 year after the end of a project to be able to work on the defects if there are any in that project. And anything in between we know of. We get access directly to the escrow account through our escrow account managers. So we know the ins and outs. We get thorough reports, detailed reports, whom we've worked with our colleagues في هيئة تنظيم المهن الهندسية from the مهندسين استشاريين, from the consultants. We get those on a monthly basis. We also have all the off-plan sale registered. In the past, you used to buy an off-plan project and nobody would know that you bought in that project but the developer. So in case of a mishap, in case the project goes sour, goes down, where would the government know that you invested if your records are gone? Today, we have something called an off-plan sale project. If the developer does not, if you sign an SPA with one of our licensed developers for 1 hour of our licensed project, and the developer does not come to register your SPA with RERA and SLRB in the off-plan sale register, you have the right to come in 60 days and we will register it for you على حساب المطور. So I'm talking about the contract. I'm talking about the off-plan sale contract. Now we have a system. If you can go to our website in RERA, there's a system, we call it برنامج اسمه أملاكي. Any SPA you've signed with the developer, lodge it there, please. For an off-plan project. I'm talking about off-plan project. البيع الخارطة. This is what I'm talking about. برنامج أملاكي ولا البيع الخارطة. If you've signed an SPA with one of our developers, or if you've signed any SPA in Bahrain, which is an off-plan project, not a ready project. A ready project is a ready project. خلاص هاي جاهز. يعني هني لا وثيقته وانتهى الموضوع. But if you sign an off-plan, go to RERA's website, have a page called Amlaki, lodge it in, and we will follow up for you. And I encourage you all to do it. لأن احنا we will be able to force some of them who are trying to يعملون في الخفاء. Some of the developers try to work outside of the system. And we've been able to force them into the system through Amlaki, through this project. لأن if you sign with someone who's not licensed for a project that is not licensed, then we cannot help you. We will not be able to protect your investment. Nobody guarantees your investment. There is no 100% guaranteed investment. If me and Ahmed today say, Ahmed, let's open a car rental company, for example. There is no or let's say all of us, the 33 participants here in this forum today. Let's say we club together and we want to establish a bank which is regulated by the Central Bank of Bahrain. There is no guarantee that this bank is going to succeed. But what the Central Bank will guarantee you that there is no fraud and that proper procedure is followed. Now, economic risk is an economic risk. Nobody can eliminate an economic risk. In a risk-based business, there are inherent risks. There are always economic risks. The project will be running beautifully, but it happens. Now, this nobody guarantees that does not happen. Nobody can guarantee the souk doesn't go south. But what we guarantee that your money actually goes to the project, and then we make sure that the money is released based on development, based on تقدم في المشروع. مو بس ياخذ المطور الفلوس ويمشي. لا, doesn't happen anymore. خلاص, under this regulation. For a developer who wants to use crowdfunding for his licensed projects in RERA, first of all, he has to work with a licensed entity from the Central Bank of Bahrain. The Central Bank of Bahrain is the entity that licensed the financial investment, not RERA. RERA licensed the project. And now, so he goes to the Central Bank of Bahrain and or one of the platforms that are licensed by the Central Bank of Bahrain for crowdfunding, and then they can approach us in RERA after they get that license, and we will work with them, inshallah.
Perfect. Thank you so much ابو هاشم. والله انا ما عندي مشكله في البزنس، يعني عليك راس المال وعلي انا الاوبريشنز.
الله يعطيك ويعطيك.
الله يسلمك. Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah. It was quite an interesting session. I think we've reached to the end of the session now. And again, once again, thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah. Thank you so much for everyone that attended and stayed with us throughout the session.
I'm really happy. I'm really happy with this interaction with our colleagues and our brothers and sisters, the stakeholders here at the real estate sector. This is part of the exercise that we like to do all the time, inshallah. We would love, inshallah, في المستقبل نزول غمة كورونا إن شاء الله, and when we get corona behind us إن شاء الله نرجع حتى نتقابل face to face إذا أمكن, لأن this interaction is important to us, لأن يعني أنا أتمنى next time يعني مو بس next time, أنا أتمنى منكم أنتم you the panelists, the participants today, please, any new innovation into the private sector, you are more agile, you are at the center of innovation, you are the entrepreneurs, and we are willing to work with you. We are willing to work with you and help you, inshallah, قدر الإمكان, with the limitations that we have based on the law that we work within. But again, I just want to tell you, PropTech is something so dear to our hearts. And His Excellency, the Chief Executive, takes PropTech so seriously. And we want to push for Bahrain to be the leader. So we are willing to work with every single member of you to help this. And inshallah, we'll do more of those sessions with that.
Bismillah. Thank you so much, Bahasham.
Allah
once again, thank you so much for all the attendees of the session. And inshallah, we're going to have another session in 2 weeks' time. So we're going to continue sort of these sessions every 2 weeks. So keep an eye for the next session. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Shukran
jazilan. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank every single participant, and I'd like to thank BIBF. Thank you very much. And we're all learning together. PropTech is something so new. We are all learning together. And inshallah, if we all work together, learn together, inshallah, we are going to نرفع اسم البحرين بإذن الله تعالى. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, guys.